Hello friends, today we'll study the graph of real function. The concept of graph gives an idea about its the domain, about its range, whether this relation is a function or not, and what type of function it is. So concept of graph is very important for you. Look at here, the graph of a real function gives an idea and geometrical visualization of the problem related to real valued function and real function. So graph of a real function consists of points. Points here, the x-axis, y-axis, this is called Cartesian plane. So, and we plot the points taking for x and the corresponding the value of fx. And here, as it is a real function, we are taking all values x belongs to R and the y is fx also are real numbers. So here x comma y, x and the y, and where y is fx is a point on this plane. And joining the points will get the graph of the function. So here the domain consists of finite points and you can easily plot the points on a plane. But if the domain contains infinitely many real numbers, then in such case we plot enough points to get an idea about the shape of the graph. Now the graph of a function should obey the following rules. So before you start drawing the graph, we should know as the graph of a function is a subset of the plane, and these are the points on the plane, so they are the subsets, and it is uniquely determined by the function y is equal to fx. And for each x, there exists at one point on the graph only. So look at here in this figure. This is a test. This test is called vertical line test. Here what we are doing, we will draw a line. We draw a line parallel to y-axis at a point x equal to a. Suppose this is your a. So if you draw a line, we see that this line y is equals to x is equals to a. It cuts the graph at 2 points, but it should cut at most 1 point. So this is not the graph of a function. Similarly, this one. So anywhere if you draw a line, it cuts the graph at 2 distinct points. So it is not a graph of a function. Here, so many points it cuts. So this is not a graph of a function. So this test is called vertical line test. Now here we are discussing some important functions. The first one is a graph of a identity function. Here we are taking x, fx is equals to x. That is y and x the same value. So if you take, and this concept comes from the general form of a linear equation ax plus b, where you take this value a as 1 and the value of b as 0. So you are getting it is fx is equals to 1 into x, that is x plus 0, so fx. And so here the important thing, y and x have the same value. So if you take -1, it will be -1. So this is the -1 point. So we are getting this point as -1, 1. Then if you take 0, the value of y is 0. So this point. If you take 1, so when it is 1, y is also 1. If you take 2, y also 2. So if you plot these points and you join, you get a straight line through the origin. And you know that what is the angle of here? The angle is 45 degrees. Actually, this line bisects the first quadrant, then bisects the third quadrant. Here, for all positive x, we are getting y also positive. And here, for all negative x, we are getting y is negative. But one thing, is it a functional graph? Yes, because for every x, if you test the vertical line test, we see it cuts the graph at a single point only. And how will determine the domain of this function? Domain means the values of x. So for every x, whether it is positive or it is negative, for positive we are getting positive x, for negative we are getting y also negative. And when x 0 to infinity, we are getting all points, and from 0 to minus infinity 0, also y have a value. So the domain of fx, that is for every real numbers we are getting an x, the domain is R, and the range, this is a graph. For all positive y, there is a point. For all negative y, there is a point. So this is also R. So this function is the identity function. Now we are going to graph of its squared function. Here we are taking the function as fx equal to x square. So when you take the values, if you put x equal to 0, it is 0. If you put x equal to -1, so -1 whole square is equals to 1. So this becomes 1. If you put -2, it becomes 4. If you take 1, 1. If you take 2, 4. So you see, we plot the points 1, 1, 2, 4, 1, -1, 1, -2, 4, and if we join, we are getting the graph like U-shape. And this is parabolic form. And for every x, here also if you check by the vertical line test, we'll see that for every x, there is a 1 point only. So this is the graph of a function. It is a squared function, and for every positive x, you are getting positive value. For every negative x, here also y is positive. So the domain, all real numbers from -infinity to +infinity. So it is R, or you can say -infinity to +infinity. This also you can write -infinity to +infinity. And the range from 0 to infinity. Values of y are only positive value. No, the negative value of y, there is no point on the graph. So we can write here 0 to infinity. Okay, thank you. For testing your understanding of this lesson and more videos, log on to www.tubelessons.net.